and everything. Okay, yeah, you can hear me. All right, so I posted a survey. Um, Usually I do these like twice a year, although this year there might be three. I don't know. Um, there's not really a consistent time I do these things. Usually I kind of do them towards the beginning and end of the year, but this one was kind of going to be like a summer one. And not as many people answered this survey as the one from uh, the very beginning of the year in January. In fact, January had like 5,700 and something, and then this one only had 2,500. So while I will compare the results of the survey because most of the questions are the same, um, just know that the current one didn't get as many people. I think part of it might be I posted it at a weird time because I posted the survey when it was like in the evening, and so I think a lot of people might have been asleep and might have ignored the uh, community announcement. Um, but either way, I'm gonna go over the results and compare them. So first question: which age range are you in as a viewer? The majority are once again 13 to 17. The last survey it was also 13 to 17, but it appears to have grown a little bit. Um, and of course, like I've said before, it makes sense. It's an educational channel. A lot of students are going to be watching it. But of course, the sample size could always, change to how it works. Then the next one, how often do you watch my videos? 60% describe themselves as a subscriber and a frequent viewer. Apparently, 6% of you don't subscribe to me but watch my videos a lot anyway. And 30% only watch me a bit of the time but are still subscribed and yada yada. And in the former survey, it looks like the frequent subscriber has gone up, so that's good. The next one, what country/region do you live in? I always divide it into regions because one, there's like almost 200 countries that you could live in, and I'd rather not list them all. And two, I think that, a general region can work just as well as a country, because ultimately there are tons of countries that I just don't get viewers from. So, most are from the United States, 61%. I always divide up Europe into the everything except the former Soviet Union. So like Russia and the former Soviet Union, that includes like Ukraine, Belarus, the Baltic states, and stuff like that. But it's also including parts of Central Asia too. But that only made up 2% anyway. And I think this may have had to do when the time I posted the survey because last time Europe had, well, okay, I guess it's not that much of a difference, but it's possible that based on the time I posted it, more Americans were awake, and so they would have been able to answer it, and more Europeans were asleep, which explains a bit of a difference. But overall, the United States being first and Europe being second place isn't that different. Then, if you subscribe to my channel, when did you subscribe? Looks like we got some people all the way back from 2009, which is always great to see. And of course, later on, the more you get. And of course, 2018 is only halfway over, so it makes sense that there's more. The most people would be from 2017, which I believe was the same case in the other question. Yeah. So 33% for 2017 here, 28% here. Still gotten several subs from 2018 though, and that's great. Then, where'd it go? The what gender do you identify as question, and female is still 2%. Although other/questioning has gone down. This is not surprising at all. Like every single survey I've done, I don't think female has ever gotten above like 2 or 3%. So I'm not surprised by this. But yeah, then the next one. Please rank these in order in terms of which you find more interesting. These are, you could divide history and maps and all that stuff into various subcategories. What do you find more interesting? And you rank them, and the idea is the lower the number, the higher ranked on average it was. So more people are interested in wars, which, it's the exact same rankings as the last survey, just slightly different. So wars, empires and nations, then politics and diplomacy, and culture being last. Based on these type of videos, should I make more, less, or the same amount? These are the types of videos I actually make. And do you want me to make more of them, less of them, the same amount? You don't care, whatever. And kind of like with the ranking ones, the numbers, the average. So like make more is a 4, stop making these as a 1. So the closer to a 4, the more you want me to make the videos. And looks like all of them but the war videos you want me to make more of, and the war videos, same amount. But of course, if you weight the averages, they're all relatively close together. And it's a little bit different because it looks like you want me to make more Empire and Nation videos just by a little bit compared to last time, but otherwise it appears to be the same. Sometimes the way they update. Alright, anyway, how would you rate the following out of 5 stars? Videos looks, the educational value, and the music. And it looks like the looks 3.9, educational value 4.65, and music used in my videos 3.78. So it looks like educational value has gone up, and music and aesthetics has slightly gotten lower, but overall these are roughly about the same. And of course, comments and suggestions about my channel, which of course I'd love to go through those. Can't go through all of them here, but I do read those, and I do appreciate any suggestions that you do give. Noticed a lot the way the website has reformatted, because they've reformatted recently. Sometimes it's kind of weird. All right. Rank these video ideas with the one you want to see, with the first at the top and the last at the bottom. So strangely enough, in the last survey, I had a question like that, but it was a mistake because all of the videos on there, except for one of them, I had already done. But this one, I just decided to have different videos. Remake the Napoleonic Wars video, make a History of Africa video, and a History of Asia video, which it appears that Napoleonic Wars has quite a lead, which I actually didn't expect. All 3 of these projects would be something interesting I could do in the long term. There's also remaking the American Civil War every day, which I didn't include because I want to get that done over the summer. But yeah, I'll try to work on all 3 of these at one point. Are you subscribed to my music channel, ETS Music? I do have a music channel. The music that you heard before the stream I did make. Just random stuff I post there. And the channel link to that is on my channel page. And as usual, most people don't know that I have it. And the people who are aware, most of them just don't subscribe to it. Which, yeah, that's fine. It's roughly... Actually, yeah, that's pretty close to being the same. Then I cut a few questions out. Where do you follow/subscribe to me on? YouTube, Twitter, blog, Discord server, Twitch. 2% Twitch, 1% my blog, which is understandable because I don't use those that often. Discord server is at 9%, which is up. Every time I do have a new video out, I do ping people on Discord. So, you can find a new video there whenever it's done. Of course, it also auto posts a link on Twitter too, which Twitter's gone up a little bit. And as always, it's always 99% subscribe to me on YouTube. So I'm always curious about the people who don't subscribe to me on YouTube, but somehow follow me anyway and choose to take the survey. So I always find that interesting. How do you learn about new videos or updates? And of course, some of you use my Twitter and Discord for that. Apparently, some of you have another thing. And then the subscription box at 73% and the notification bell at 44%. Because, you can always do more than one. Which, interestingly, the notification bell has gone down. Twitter and Discord have gone, and other have gone up. If you're a student, have you seen my videos in school or at class? Um, Most of you haven't, and some of you have. It's about the same as last time, and I always appreciate it when, because my videos are educational, I always appreciate when a school does show them. Yeah, it's roughly about the same. And of course, I always ask if you are a teacher, have you used my videos? And majority haven't. Some have told others, or that they don't teach history and all that stuff. And I know some of you said that, like, oh, you answered one of these, but because you weren't a teacher, but you felt like you couldn't skip the question. For future reference, if a survey question has an asterisk next to it, that means it's required to answer. But if it doesn't, you can skip it. So if you weren't a teacher, you didn't have to answer this question. Um, but anywho, that wouldn't have skewed the results too much. All right, and then that was the end of the YouTube channel part, and then the next was the political part of the quiz. I always find these questions interesting. Some of these questions are different from the last survey, in some cases refined. This one was just a general which political labels apply to you. I decided to separate economic and religious ones from this question, unlike last time. Um, Also, it doesn't show these in descending order like it does for the other survey, which is weird. But pro democracy once again takes the top spot, around 48%, a little bit up, and kind of like last time, left, right, and centrist are kind of roughly the same. A little bit more left. Yeah, a little bit more left here. But you're all kind of all over the place. It's always interesting. The 5% fascist or Nazi thing is a bit concerning. But what are you gonna do? And then I separated the economic labels, but I feel so stupid because I included Marxism and syndicalism, but I forgot to include normal socialism. So I almost feel like I should disregard this question, because why would I leave off socialism for an economic label? Because there are a lot of socialists out there. So I imagine a lot of socialists either picked Marxist, syndicalist, or mixed economics. Capitalists were 54%, which doesn't surprise me, but I kind of feel silly that I remembered mercantilism, but I forgot socialism. But what are you gonna do? And then religious labels. 33% were atheist, 18% were agnostic or unsure. Then you have the various types of Christianity, a few of the other religions along here. 2% were spiritual in general. So, they believe in something, but they aren't into anything extra specific. And all that. All right. State how much you agree or disagree with these statements. A few of these were the same as last time. Several of them weren't. Usually I just think, oh, that's an interesting question, and I'll put it in the survey. Some rights are natural, meaning they exist regardless of what the law says. So, you shouldn't torture someone, you shouldn't kill someone, even if it's not illegal, you shouldn't. That's an example of a natural right or a natural law. Most of you strongly agreed, so 4 out of 5, which is good. Politics are currently too partisan / pro-party instead of pro-ideology. Because, with today's political climate, a lot of people seem to support party or a certain person above ideology nowadays. And this goes for all sides. And most of you seem to agree that it has. Tariffs are fine. which, in case you don't know, a tariff is taxing foreign goods. So, like, if a German company makes some furniture, an American company makes some furniture, you would tax the German furniture company to help the American furniture makers do better. The idea is you're supporting your own workers. Um, but tariffs are fine. You should prioritize your country's workers over others. So free trade versus, protectionism. And looks like most of you just agreed, not as strongly, because a lot of people believe in the free market. So 3 out of 5, 3 and a bit out of 5. Big business is just as dangerous as big government. Most of you also agreed. Uh, this one's this one's kind of more even, so a lot of you also strongly agreed, and many of you were neutral. It seems 3.5 out of 5. The environment is something we should prioritize and protect. Most of you strongly agree, and I'm glad because I'll keep saying it. I think that making environmentalism a partisan issue is stupid. I think that everyone has it in their best interest to want to survive on a planet that's actually habitable. So, I'm glad that most of you agree with that. 4 and a third out of 5, which is the highest one out of all these. Sometimes you can break laws if it means you're trying to right a wrong. This is always one of those classic, tricky philosophical questions. Kind of like, oh, like, your mother has cancer and you can't afford a drug that could cure her, maybe, or treat her because it's too expensive. Is it okay to steal that drug to save her life? you know or there could be countless of other scenarios in the case of like trying to right a wrong. um, Most of you seem to be kind of divided. Most of you kind of agreed. 3.22 out of 5, but most the plurality were neutral. And of course, I always love to include this one because this is always such a funny idea. Taxation is theft. Most of you strongly disagreed, which is the same case as last time. And I always find it hilarious that people actually agree that it somehow is theft. So that 5% did. So 2 out of 5. All right. Then of course, rate Donald Trump's presidency thus far, and most of you, or well, the plurality gave it a 3 out of 10, but a weighted average of 4 and almost a quarter. See what it was in the last one. Oh, it's actually gone up a little bit. Most gave it a 0, but yeah. So still much below average. Were you triggered by seeing Reagan at number 8? Uh, I made a video on the worst presidents, and I included Reagan. If you want to hear my justification for that, you can always watch the video. So I just thought it'd be funny to include this question. And apparently 7% of you were triggered. 28% of you weren't triggered, but you disagreed with my placement. And then 27% of you agreed. And then the plurality of you had no idea what the hell I was talking about. Anyway, just a funny question. Between uh, between pure socialism and pure laissez-faire, which means unregulated capitalism, where do you think an ideal economy should be? And plurality of you picked like 7, which is like relatively capitalist. But the weighted average is 5 and a bit, so leaning capitalist. So overall, I guess mixed economics or somewhere in the middle. Pretty much the same as last time. And then between absolute authoritarian rule and anarchy, where do you think an ideal government should be? And most of you, right down the middle, 5, same as last time. What is the most ideal taxation system, assuming that, taxes aren't wasted? These are actually spent on useful programs. 3% a no taxes at all anyway, 6% a basic tax, 23% a flat percentage tax, and then the majority, just like last time, said a progressive tax where you tax the rich with a higher percentage and the poor a lower percentage. Um, and, various whatever. I'm fine with any taxation no matter what at 2%. This is roughly the same as the other survey. And then that was it. The last survey had a bit more questions, but this one I just didn't have as many things to ask. But overall, that was the 2018 summer survey. Kind of hope that more people answered, but I do these things twice, and I guess this year 3 times a year. So there will be another survey probably in the fall or something. Um, but thank you all for answering the survey if you did. And let's see if I've gotten. Oh, thanks for the super chat. Um, yeah, it's weird because I sent the survey with a community post, which is something that you can see on my channel page. But in theory, the community posts are supposed to show up in your subscription feed. But a lot of people have said that it only shows up on your phone or tablet. So that might be why. I also pinged my Discord on the survey. Um, but I'll see if I can find a better way to spread the news of the survey next time. And yeah. So with that.